Hello, guys. As usual, stay home, stay safe, and do Excel chemistry. So, today, as said already, we are going to start the second part of the surface chemistry, that is the colloids. Okay, the colloidal solutions and the various terms and points and the differences regarding that we'll see. Okay, so to start with, what is a colloid? Colloid, just like maybe you are very much familiar with this thing, even in ninth standard you might have studied about this, right? So to begin with, according to a scientist by name Thomas Graham, okay, so his name is what? Thomas Graham. According to him, the substances, that is the mixtures, are divided into three categories, okay, depending upon their ability of, or you may call it a size or ability of separation, or the various factors. So Thomas Graham has uh, bifurcated or trifurcated, I should say, true solutions, then colloidal solutions or colloids, then colloidal solution or colloids mean the same. Then we have the suspension. In fact, you might have studied about this even in the lower classes. That's what I'm saying. So it's not a very big task or something, but since it is given, you must have the track on them. Okay, so to differentiate, let me write an point wise. That is, first, the definition part. What is a true solution? A true solution is that the ability of the molecule to pass through a membrane. Okay, when we have a membrane separating, or you take any true solution, it can easily pass through the pores of the membrane. Fine. So by simple definition is that which can pass through the membrane. Okay, so molecules that passes through the membrane. Okay, and what about colloids? Does colloidal particles, or by definition, what is a colloidal particle? Colloidal solution, colloids. Those molecules which disperses in the solvent, okay, which disperses in the solvent without passing through the membrane. Fine. So in this, what happens? Molecules that disperses in the solvent and they do not pass without passing through the membrane. Okay, what about suspension? You're very much familiar with this suspension. Suspension means the molecules, they don't pass through the membrane, rather than they settle down, right? So molecules that settles down, molecules that settles down even even without passing through the membrane. Membrane. Okay, so in a very lame definition, if you want me to tell, you're all familiar. True solution is that the solute particles completely dissolves, you cannot see with the naked eye. Colloids, it's like you can see but cannot see type. Okay, suspension, you can clearly see the particles that are inside the solvent. Okay. Anyways, by definition was that is, then we can talk about the size. The size of the particles of true solution, it is less than 1 mm, 1 nm. Colloids is between 1 nm to 1000 nm. This is the size range. And suspension, all those molecules whose size is greater than 1000 nm falls into the suspension category. So you need to remember this range. Okay, then the third one, that is visibility. As said already, Can you see the solute particles, or can you see the particles in the true solution? No, only the solvent will be visible. The solute particles cannot be visible, right? So I can say like they are not visible even under microscope. Not visible even under microscope. On the other hand, colloids, what do you say? Can they be visible? They can be visible using the microscope. Okay, visible using microscope. Okay, then what about suspension? Without any microscope you can see them clearly visible by naked eye. Visible by naked eye. All right, fine. So these are the let me continue some more differences. Visibility, then I can talk about filtrations or separation method. Okay, can you filter the true solutions? We cannot. Can it be easily? No, with the filter paper we cannot. So I can say they can't be filtered by the filter paper. Colloids, what do you say? Can they be filtered? They can be filtered with the filter paper that is having small pores. Can be filtered only by the papers whose pore size is small. Pore size should be very small. And what do you say about suspension? They can be filtered easily by the filter paper, right? So this is what about filtration. Now if you talk about the settling, okay, they does not settle at all, right? Let me write that also. Settling by gravity. Can these true solution or molecules in the true solutions, can they be settled by the gravity? No, they does not settle at all, right? They does not settle. These fellows, they settles down when you know what is centrifugation? When centrifugated. Okay, centrifugation, you might have studied about this in lower class also. What is that? You keep on whirling the things. Okay, just like your mom makes buttermilk summers. Now in summers all of you might have been drinking the buttermilk, right? So how buttermilk is prepared? Okay, there is a churner, right? So when you churn the curd, the particles that are heavy, they are distributed to the farther region, right? So they jump towards the walls of the container. Correct. And the leftover milk with milk, exactly, that is water and buttermilk, what exactly you say, that is leftover. The heavy particles, they are what, to the walls. That's why your mom cleans with her hand and separates it, right? From which you can make the ghee and all. Fine. So what is centrifugation? Basing upon the mass, the particles can be separated by using the force of or their kinetical force. Okay, that force is used for the separation. Fine. In a blood test and all, you might have seen this thing. Fine. So on a whole, colloids, they settles down when centrifugated, and this settles down even by gravity. Okay, so these are the some common differences between true solutions, colloids, and suspension. Now in our syllabus, we are not talking about this. We are going to talk about colloids. All right. So you can make, like, for example, true solution. Take some glass of water and put some salt or sugar in it. Finished. Okay. Colloids are the examples that you see it, you use them in your daily basis, and but still you do not know that you are using the colloids. Okay, in our daily life we see most of the colloids, okay, in our day-to-day life, but we still don't know like what is that. Okay, we generally say it is, for example, right from the morning you wake up, okay, you brush your teeth with paste is a colloid. you take bath with your shampoos, shampoo is a colloid. Okay. And this is a corona time, right? You sanitize your hands by using sanitizer is also a colloid. Okay. So liquid wash, they say, right? So it is not actually that liquid sanitizer and all, it should be colloidal sanitizer. Okay. Because it is having both the solid particles or the liquid particles and the gaseous particles. Some or the other way, there are two phases, two states of matter. Okay. Anyways, we cannot ask the same thing with the shopkeeper and all. So suspension, take sand, put in water, particles will definitely settles down, and you can see the sand still as sand. Okay. So we focus on the colloids. Now to speak about colloid furthermore, let's define, or let's detail have a note on it. Let me take black pen, so that I think with blue. All right. So to define the colloids and all, I need two terms. Okay, just like a true solution has two terms, solute and solvent. Okay, just like true solution, you have the solute contains solute plus solvent. Okay, same way in the colloids, it takes two things, that is dispersed phase plus dispersion medium. The mixture of these will give you true solution. The mixture of this will give us colloids or colloidal solution. Fine. Now, what is dispersed phase and what is dispersed medium? So dispersed phase is similar to the solute, as I said, and dispersion medium is solvent. Fine. So it is similar to solute, and this is similar to solvent. But actually, by definition wise, dispersed phase means those molecules in which the particles get dispersed. Okay, they don't actually dissolve. In true solution, the solute particles dissolves, but in colloids they don't dissolve, they get dispersed. Dispersed means just like you take some talcum powder or something and just drop it in water. That does the talcum powder dissolve in water? No, it just disperses throughout the water. Okay, so that dispersion throughout the water is nothing but our colloid. Fine. Now the talcum powder which you have used, the particles which are dispersing, they are called as dispersed phase, and the content in which the talcum powder is dispersed, that is called as dispersion medium. Okay, so dp dm, just like solute, solvent, dp and dm. Fine. Now this, let's continue furthermore about. Now this dispersed, I will not write dispersed phase and dispersion medium, I'll write it as dp and dm. Fine. So I hope you will understand. Fine. So based upon the dispersed phase and dispersed medium, the colloids are categorized. Fine. So in other words, let me speak about depending on the type of dp and dm. What is dp and dm? Dispersed phase and dispersing medium. Depending upon the dp and dm, we have the classification as follows. Fine. So if this is an area where you have to by heart, or I'll try to make it as simple and I want you to remember it. Fine. Maybe I'll try my best, but ultimately you have to memorize them. So let me write like this: dp, dm, and examples. Before examples, what is that colloid called as, type of the colloid, and example. Fine. So let's write for dp, let's fix it like solid, solid, solid. Okay. So with respect to solid, 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 my dm is solid, liquid and gas. This combination we'll see. Fine. So with respect to the solid, that means dispersed phase is what? Solid, and dispersion medium is solid. If both are solid, we call it as solid sol. Okay, let me write all the things. If this is solid, next would be our liquid, liquid, liquid. Next would be about gas, gas, and gas. For this also combination is what? Solid, liquid, and gas. For this, solid, liquid, and gas. Okay, so solid sol, everything whenever you see like it is of liquid, okay, we generally term it as sol. Maybe liquid sol also, no issues, but generally we term it as what? Sols. Whenever you see gas as the dm, that is dispersing medium, medium is similar to what? Solvent. So ultimately the name or is favored in the name of the solvent only, right? So that's why solid sol, liquid sol, and whenever you have the gas as the medium, that is dispersion medium, we call it as air, aerosol, aerosol. Okay, so wherever you see G, no, put it as aerosol. So G, aerosol. So G here also dispersion medium, so aerosol. Okay, so I'm making a mistake wantedly, so aerosol. Fine. So this is what it is. Now solid sol, liquid sol, and aerosol. Let's talk about first three things. So example of so when we have, let me say simple, let me take this. Okay, so you can see the gemstone, right? See the gemstone that you can see, this is a green color gemstone. Okay, so in which you can say that the stone is of green color. Okay, the stone is of green color, but when you see it, inside, okay, you can see that there is a solid what I can say, solid stone that is dispersed throughout the stone. Okay, when you see that there is a solid particle, that is a very small solid particle, that is the actual stone, that is dispersed throughout the stone. Okay, that is a stone, the bigger size of stone, the green stone has been dispersed throughout, and that's how we can see that the gemstones have, you can see the gemstones. Okay, so example for that is what? Gemstone. Okay, and liquid sol, when you talk about liquid sol, maybe you might have seen the paints, or one second, I'll take this. Okay, so here you can see the ink. Okay, I cannot. So here you can see the ink. So the ink, when you see the ink, see the ink, the ink is of dye, that is a solid substance that you can see. Even you have your refills or something, now just open it and take out some 2-3 drops of it, you can find that the ink, there is a solid ink, the dye, the solid black dye or green dye or red dye, blue dye is solid, and that dye is uniformly dispersed into the liquid water. Okay, then we say that it is a liquid sol. So paint and your that is pens, that is ink in the pen and all, that comes under this example. Fine. And solid in gas, the best one of you can see the smoke. Okay, whenever you come out, you can see a huge in the metropolitan cities, you see huge smoke. The atmosphere is completely very brownish color at night times. Okay, especially because it is full of smoke. Fine, that is the dust particles and all. Normally what happens in the smoke is you have the solid carbon. Okay, the carbon atoms or the carbon, unburnt carbon, are completely burnt. Okay, you can call it as the soot and all. So that when dissolves in air, when dissolves, or I should not say dissolve, disperses in air, then we can call it as aerosol. And the best example is what? Smoke. Behind the auto cylinders and all, you can see the smoke, huge smoke coming out, and that's the best example. Fine. And let's talk about liquid and solid. So when you talk about liquid and solid, the best one is your cheese, okay, or jellies. You might have eaten those jelly things, right? And this is called as gels, or the you have the Colgate, what is it, Max Fresh something. So that is also hair gel that you use, boys. So the hair gel is nothing but the liquid that is dispersed in the solid. Fine. The hair gel that you use, okay, in the gel, when you take out, it is solid, but actually it is not solid. It is a liquid dispersed in solid. Fine. So that is called as gels, and the best example is, as I said, jellies and cheese and all. So liquid in liquid, which is called as emulsion. Okay, liquid in liquid is called as what? Emulsions. And the best example for this is what? Your milk, okay, cream, the hair cream that you use, or even the water in oil. You just put water in oil, that is nothing but a colloid. Fine. So that is one of the examples of the emulsion. Fine. So hair cream, hair, this also comes under liquid, and liquid dispersed in liquid is emulsion. Remember this name, very familiar, and you'll be studying about it in detail furthermore. Now then, liquid in gas, aerosol. Okay, for example, the sprays that you use, let me use this then. For example, like this is a spray, okay, see, uh, you cannot see, okay, now you can see, I think. So here you can see the when I sprayed the perfume, okay, that is the deodorant, you can see that there is a huge amount of moisture or wet thing, right? So when I rub it off, it goes away. Now what is happening in this particular spray, okay, you see that the particles, that is liquid particles, which you can see on my palm, liquid particles have dispersed in the gaseous way. Okay, that's why it is very much compressed. Fine. Gaseous medium, it is that's why they are in the ad also they say kya chal raha hai, fog chal raha hai, right? So they are called as aerosols. Best example is fog, that's why they named also as fog. Then gas in liquid is again the solids all, it is. And the best example for this is the pumice stone. Girls, you might be using the pumice stone and all for cleaning your foot, right? So pumice stone, they're the best or even the foam rubbers, okay, for mobiles, or for apples. Apples are surrounded by a very the apples, they are surrounded by a white layer of spongy thing, right? That is actually what? Foam rubber. Okay, so in that, what is happening? The gas is dissolved in the solid state. The gas is dissolved in the solid, that is called as rubber foam rubber. Okay, then gas in liquid, this is called as actual foam. And this is like soap lather. While you take bath, you play with the lather, right? The soap lather and all. So these are the various. Now gas into gas, even though I have written aerosol, but this is not. Why? You take anything, solid and solid, solid and liquid, solid and gas, liquid and gas will always form homogeneous mixture. Homogeneous mixture. By definition, colloid, very important, colloid is a heterogeneous mixture. Heterogeneous mixture. Okay, so remember this, heterogeneous mixture. That's why we don't speak about the gas dispersed in gas or gas dissolves in gas. So that's why it's a homogeneous mixture, and we don't have this category. So we have only 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And the various states, DP, DMs, and what are the names and the examples are this. Okay, fine. So this is what about the differences basing upon, or the classification basing upon the DP and DM. There is also another classification that is based upon the interactions between DP and DM. So let's talk that also. Classification based on interactions between DP and DM. Okay, DP and DM again, dispersing phase and dispersion. medium. So basically there are two categories. They are lyophilic colloids. Another one is lyo. When I say philic, what should be the other one? Phobic. Lyophobic colloids. So what I say is philic, nucleophile, electrophile. This philia word you are very much familiar. Philic means what? Loving. So they are also called as solvent loving. Solvent loving. Phobia. Phobia means what? Hate. Solvent hating. They're also called as solvent loving, and they're also called as solvent hating. So now the first one, what is the main? This also I speak in terms of differences only, so that you can relate easily. So the first one is they have the greater, by the name itself you can understand that they have the great affinity. Okay, there is a greater force of attraction between dp and dm. Solvent is nothing but our dm, right? So they have greater affinity towards each other between dp and dm. On the other hand, what do you say about lyophobic? They have very, or I can say they don't like each other at all. Okay, so less affinity between dp and dm. Secondly, these colloids can be made or can be formed by those molecules which are generally having higher molecular mass of carbon. They are formed by the molecules of higher molecular weights of carbon or carbon compounds generally. And this one, inorganic, they have very low molecular weights of inorganic compounds. These are formed by low molecular weights of inorganic compounds, generally formed by inorganic compounds of those molecules whose molecular weight is smaller or lesser. So that's the second main difference. And the third one is they are stable, that they cannot be separated. Okay, or they need not be separated at all, or for the separation method, not actually separation I should say. If you want to preserve, okay, they need not be use some external things. Already they have the greater force of attraction, so the colloids just gets interact with the solvent and they remain there. Okay, so that's why I can say, right, they are stable. Okay, the molecules in the colloids are what? Stable, whereas these fellows, they are less stable. Okay, next is, since they are stable, they cannot be coagulated. What is meant by coagulation? We'll talk about that coagulation also. uh, they can't be coagulated, whereas these fellows, since they are less stable, the more particles of them, they can they can come together and they can coagulate, okay, at the bottom of the container in which they are placed. Okay, so they are easily coagulated. All right, and these salts can be easily reversed also. Okay, suppose if the molecules are there that have been separated, let's say, like for example, they have been separated by some dispersion, some medium that can cut the solute particles and the solvent particles, dp and dm. If they are separated by some membrane, okay, or some by some means they have been separated, how do you make them easily? Is remove that separation, whatever it is. Okay, or just drop the solute particles again in it, it automatically forms the lyophilic colloid. Okay, so in other words, it is easily reversible. They are actually reversible salts, whereas these fellows, they are irreversible salts. Okay, So these are the basic differences between the lyophilic and lyophobic salts. Okay, you can write an example also. For example of this one, starch solution. Take a potato and cut it and drop it in pieces. Cut it into pieces and just drop it in water. Okay, that also will create a starch solution. Okay, and the best example for lyophobic colloid is smoke. Just now I said. Okay, so or you can also use the clouds formation. Okay, the cloud, what is exactly happening in the cloud formation? You can see that it is uh, the dispersed phase is water droplets. The water droplets are dispersed into the air. Cloud is nothing but what? The water droplets dispersed in the air. So I can also write cloud. Fine, so these are the examples, protein solution and all these things you can write. Fine, so that's all about dispersing phase and dispersing medium. Based upon them, the differences. Fine, and the last one, that is depending upon the classification, depending upon the types of the particles of the DP. Based on the types of particles of DP. Fine. So this, according to this, the colloids can be categorized into three ways. One is multi-molecular colloid. The second one is macromolecular colloid. Macromolecular colloid. And the third one is aggregate or associated colloid, which is also called as micelle. Okay, not missile, micelle. Fine, so these are the three categories or three divisions that as the name itself is clearly making you that. Okay, so one more time, just rough recapitulating. Number one, we have seen the classification based upon the states of DP and DM. Number two, we have seen the classification between the forces of attraction between DP and DM. Third, we are talking about the classification based upon the types of particles. Suppose let's say I have a particle which is of size 5 or 0.5 nm. Tell me in which category will it fall. So as I said already, between the differences I said 1 nm less than is true solution. Okay, so if I have 0.5 nm, so it should fall into true solution. But suppose if I have that 0.5 particle, 0.5 nm particles, many 0.5 and all of them are together, then automatically the size of the multi molecules, right, many molecules have clubbed together. Now 0.5 plus 0.5 plus 0.5, like that many, right? So if say 10.5 nm molecules have been clubbed together, then in that case automatically the size range has not fallen into the true solution, it falls into the colloidal solution. So in that case it is no longer can form true solution, it can form colloids, and that is an example for multi-molecular. On one molecule if you say, that will fall under true solution, but many molecules aggregate or together they form multi-molecular colloid. So by definition, many molecules aggregate to form species of large size, that is of the range 1 nm to 1000 nm. One molecule if you take it, if it is 0.5, then true solution. Hope you understood what is multi-molecular colloid. If you talk about macromolecular, okay, so in the macromolecular what happens is, already the molecule is macro means bigger. The molecules, those molecules which are already, whose size of the particles falls in the range of 1 nm to 1000 nm. Okay, so in this size of the particles or the molecules are already in the range. in the range of colloids. Simple macro. Now important one is associated. Okay, so this thing you need to understand once. Pay attention to listen to sound. Okay, for sounding it sounds like multimolecular only, but actually it is not. Very minute difference is there. To understand this one, for example, let's say let's say I have a bucket of water. Okay, a bucket of water. Now if I drop in this once or one little what I can say, one little or 10 granules of surf, okay, or detergent. When I drop some, let's say 2-3 granules of detergent in it, can you see the foam formation and all? No, you cannot find, right? But for the same thing, if I take some 10 spoons and drop in it and I stir it, what happens? Foam is formed. So in other words, that is depending upon the concentration. Okay, so if the concentration of the solute particles is very small, then we don't find any colloid formation. If the concentration of the solute particles or the dispersed phase particles concentration is high, then we say that the associated colloid is formed. Are you understanding? So by definition, okay, you can say like these are some substances which at lower concentration behaves as, for example, let's say stearic acid or soap molecule actually look like this: C17H35 COO minus Na plus. Okay, so that means I have a very 17 carbon atoms and C double bond O minus and Na plus. So this is what the soap molecule exactly look. Okay, so this sodium stearate, when I drop this soap molecule or detergent molecule and I drop in it, when I drop in it, what happens? Na plus separates and this entire thing gets separated, correct? So when I drop in it, Na plus separates and this one, it is nothing but it is just acting like an electrolyte, normal electrolyte. But on adding more number of molecules or on increasing the concentration of the electrolyte, then we will see that the dispersion. Okay, what happens actually is, water, suppose like this is a water molecule, let's say, okay, water molecule, and we generally have this part COO minus is talked or is told, even in ninth standard you might have seen this, that it is hydrophilic end, hydrophilic end. And this tail part, this we call it as head and this we call it as tail. The tail part is called as hydrophobic end. Hydro refers to water. Okay, so water loving, water hating. So if this is my water, H2O, water droplet, okay, all the philic ends comes and attacks like this. Okay, so the head part is somewhere here and it is something like this. The head part is here somewhere and it is like this. The head part is, that is, I hope you are understanding what I am trying. Okay, so like this, the head parts, that is the hydrophilic parts, are attracted towards the water molecule, and we will see the hydrophobic parts are away from the water molecule. So this kind of attraction between the dispersed phase and dispersion medium, now this creates a very large size, a very large size. So the large size is because of what? Association of these that is what I can say is the stearic ions. So this creates the larger size, and that's why it is called as a colloid, which falls into the range of 1 nm to 1000 nm. Okay, so to sum it up, the point is when the molecules are associated. Okay, so let me write that at lower concentration, they behave as normal electrolyte, but at higher concentration they exhibit colloidal behavior. They shows colloidal behavior by the association of the molecules as shown. Okay, so this is why you can say like this particular thing is called as missile. Okay, so now what happens is, let me give example for multimolecular and for this also. In fact, for this also, the best example for multimolecular, like if you see gold sol or the sulfur sol. In sulfur sol, we know normally sulfur molecule is S8. Okay, but in S8 colloid, how many molecules will have is generally some hundreds or thousands of molecules. Okay, one molecule of S8, one molecule of S8 will have S8 sol. I'm talking not just one molecule of S8, one molecule of S8 sol. It will have some thousand S8 molecules. Fine. So macromolecule, just now I told you, no, that is starch solution. Example is what? Starch sol. Okay, just take the proteins or vitamins or enzymes, just drop it in water, you can make the starch colloid. Okay, and associated one, as said already, the best example is what? Soap molecule dropped in water. Fine. Now from here only we can try to explain. Suppose if I have the in the bulk of water, what happens in the bulk of water? So in the bulk, what happens is, the all the head parts will be attracted towards one side, and the hydrophobic parts will be on the other side. So like this, see, this head parts is nothing but what? COO minus. Okay, so now these particles, now if we have any dirt or the grease on the dress, okay, so like this there will be huge number of micelles formation. Now when I flush water on this, okay, when I flush water on this, these parts which are hydrophilic parts, they are carried away by water molecules. So H2O, H2O, H2, the water molecules are attracting them. So as the water goes, these are attracted towards them, and as these stearate ion goes, okay, as these goes, so goes the dirt. Okay, so this is what the cleansing action of soap is actually. Even in 9th standard you should have studied about this. Fine. Now the bottom line is, in the bulk of water, what exactly is happening? In the bulk of water, what I have shown previously is on the superficial layer. In the bulk of water, we will see that the particles that are in the presence of the dirt, the particles, the stearate ions are heads are outside. Okay, so the concentration, and one more thing is, we have to define two important terms: CMC. Okay, what is that? CMC means the missile formation will happen only at higher concentration, I said. So that means it is depending on the concentration. CMC is nothing but the critical missile concentration. Okay, it is defined as that concentration under which missiles do not form, or above which missiles do not form. So that is called as critical missile concentration. And not only that, there is also another term, that is Kraft temperature. Okay, Kraft temperature, it is same, it is represented by TK. It is that amount of temperature below which there is no missile formation. Okay, the temperature below which the missiles do not form. That particular temperature is called as Kraft temperature. Okay, I feel it like little negative because do not came, no, rather than do not, write it in a different way, positive way. That is, the concentration under which the missile formation takes place is CMC. The temperature above which the missile formation takes place is craft temperature. Even in this way, if you write, that is not a mistake. But the right way of writing them is, rather than using do not, write it as forms. Okay, so this is what about the various things. Okay, so let's stop it here. We'll continue in the next class with another term.